Hello everyone, this is Renault, and this is going to be the review for Midnight Mystery number 3. But before we get into that, we of course say hello to Joker. We say hello to my plastic plants, my shades, and my ibuprofen. Seriously, when you've got a headache that won't quit, ibuprofen. And anyway, Midnight Mystery, number 3, The Burning Bride. Now, as you can see, I have my little tabs here are off the chain, going out of control because there's a lot of things I want to touch upon here. And I also want to get started with this cover. Again, this cover is not necessarily as eye-catching as the previous two. However, it is much more relevant and accurate to what happens in the story. Again, that's not necessarily a big deal for most people, but I just found it kind of jarring for the first two issues. And I do want to touch on something else. A tale so twisted, it needs to be read sideways. Dun dun dun. So, again, this story was very interesting. Let's just get right into it. It's by Bernie Gonzalez and Wes Loker, as just a quick reminder. So, we're seeing this in little intro. What can I get you? Actually, let's just skip this because it's not really relevant. I don't care. So anyway, our private investigator, Mr. Zeke King, he has a client. This guy. He's telling his story about his situation, about the case. He grew up very poor, but he worked very hard. He was going to get married, but on the day of their wedding, it turns out that her father had gambling debts that wiped out everything. And so, according to the client, she burns down everything in utter embarrassment and shame. So he's mourning, and he's moved on with his life, and he found a new love. Now, I do want to point out something very interesting. This backstory is shaded in red. That's foreshadowing. I mean, the name of the story is Burning Bride. The bride burned herself to death. So, it's not very subtle, but again, it's worth pointing out because you could miss it if you're just going a little bit too quickly. So, I'm going to go to the next part with my little notes here, with my Bigfoot Bill bookmark. And so, here he is. He's talking about how he's been getting haunted. And it's up to Zeke King to protect him. But not from the ghost, but from the press. Of course, that's something that... This is a lie, by the way. This is something he's publicly stating on her behalf. Because it's like, darling, I really don't understand. You hired someone to protect you from the press? I don't mind paying for the penthouse, the car, and all this, but the bodyguard is needless as best. No offense, Mr. King. None taken. So, it's not actually true that he needs protection from the press. That's just, again, something he's telling his wife, or his fiancée. And so that's the deal they're working out, but again, it's very interesting worth pointing out. He was previously going to marry a wealthy woman, and now he's going to marry a wealthy woman again. So, very interesting. Keep that in mind as I go to my next little bookmark here. So, on the wedding night, or the night before the wedding, again, as it gets closer and closer, Everything's shaded in red. He sees the ghost because she's haunting him. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. She is haunting him. And so he keeps seeing her, and that's why he hired Zeke King. But this is my bookmark for Blake Northcott's North Valley Romar. I know I keep saying that. It's always worth recommending. Get that book. But he's also talking with his buddy. And this is like foreshadowing about how they're going to have a separation. And because everything's getting packed up. He's just going to move on with his life. And he's pretty much kicking out Zeke King. That's what it looks like. It's not confirmed, but that's what it looks like. And so I'm just going to go to the next part here. And it's the wedding night. Dun, dun, dun. This is just... What is this? Oh, this is from the Exilium Indiegogo. Or did I get that on Kickstarter? I think I got Exilium on Indiegogo. But that's where this is from. I'm just using it as a placeholder. But it's interesting that... so they're having their wedding. But keep in mind, they're having their wedding at an abandoned museum. So let me go to the previous page. It's a museum. Got the camera guy. It's kind of like in secret. And so, but keep in mind, there's nobody else there. It's just them. And that's something that I'm pretty sure Zeke King made arrangements for. Because I suspect that off camera, he made arrangements for all this. Now, I only can speculate because the book doesn't go into it. And there's some pages maybe that could have been done away with so that we could go into that more into detail about how he set it up so that they can get married at an abandoned museum. But again, that's just by design. And so during the wedding, in the middle of their marriage, while they're in the process of getting married, she shows up again, the abandoned wife from the groom. Oh, she's here. Nobody believed her, and here she is, making a very dramatic entrance. And it's her, my love. And so he gets the heck out of there. Now, this is the first art critique I have. As you can see, she's here very dramatically. Here, she's very dramatically. Everyone can see her. She's not here. She should be somewhere, like, maybe right here, actually. Just light on fire or something. But anyway, he gets the heck out of there. So now everybody knows that she's real. And, but this is where things are about to get really crazy and crazy good. Oh, that's going to be the name of this video. Things got crazy good. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to skip a couple of pages because it's narration. Just a moment. I want to skip a couple of pages. Hold on. But I want to make sure I focus on the stuff that matters. Okay, here. So the ghost catches up to him. And I'm going to just read all of this so that you can understand what happens. I was right there next to you, waiting for this moment. Remember when we were home? Father always praised your hard work. He saw himself in you. As for me, I was smitten. Your eyes, your smile, your passion. Not for me, but for us. That was more than enough for me. So when the fire surrounded me, I prayed, I shouted, and I cried for you, but every tear was erased by the inferno, and for the first time in my life, I had a revelation. At death's door I saw you truly, angry for being born poor, spiteful at my father's weakness, dreading a future with a wife you did not love. I saw you set fire to my father's home with me inside. I saw you taking in your sin, and I burned. And now, my beloved, you will burn for me. No! Get wrecked, son. Okay, lady, I heard your story, and really, I'm sorry, but this has to end. Almost finished. You got what you wanted, right? He's gone. What don't I understand? And so he's being haunted by his lost love, by the way. Maybe you don't want to understand, Zeke. And this is the burned groom who murdered his wife. And so he has some flashbacks about his wife. Let me skip a couple of pages, though, because the stuff between him and his wife is not done well, in my opinion, so I'm going to skip it just a second. So then this is the other wife who was going to get married to the burned groom. She's going to call the police, but instead, hello, who's there? It's time. Time? For what? What do you want from me? Not me. Him. And boom. Off the chain. This is crazy. Hi, sweetie. Isn't it time we finish our vows? But you're... Dad, you made sure of it. When you stole my heart, took what you really wanted, and pushed me into the water, where our love will live forever. No, I can't breathe. Wrecked. So... she had killed her ex-husband, just like the groom had killed his ex-wife. That is a twist worthy of Scooby-Doo. Because I didn't see that coming. I mean, it was, again, about foreshadowing. Any scene with her is highlighted in blue almost always. Let me skip to some previous. But not always, and so that's why it's not done as well. Because the stuff with Zeke King, when he's talking to his ex-wife, it's also highlighted in blue, and that's why it didn't quite resonate as well. But it's blue because she killed her ex-husband in water, whereas the scenes with the old groom, his stuff was all highlighted in red because he killed his ex-wife in a fire. So they were plotting to kill each other. Not quite sure who was going to get who, but it doesn't matter. So again, that was a great twist. Very well handled. I really liked that. But it's not over yet. There's one more thing I want to make sure I flip to. Let me just skip a couple pages. Okay. We're going back to regular layout, and we've got the son from the previous two stories. He's slacking off. He's not doing as well. The coach is threatening to kick him off the team, but the father is like, who cares? We've got stuff to do. And so eventually he gives in to his father. And I understand, son. I was born apart from you for so long, but now I'm part of you. And so the son is like, "You can't keep doing this. I have a life, Dad." And so the guy, Roland Blackwood, is like, "You have distractions. It's time you let me show you what we're capable of." And so this is a hallucination. The coach can't see him. The son quits the football team, etc., etc. This was much improved over that last story. It's almost as if this was meant to be the main story, or this was like a hook. But to be honest, that second issue was pretty bad. But yeah, overall, I would say this was a huge improvement. I really liked the twist. But again, this son, I don't quite understand why this son is being dragged in by the father. He's clearly being inconvenienced. He was independent before the father. He was happy before the father. I don't know why he keeps getting dragged down by Roland Blackwood. Other than he's just lonely for a father figure. But again, overall, this was a huge improvement. I would say I would give this, I don't know, an 8.3 out of 10. This was Reno. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Hit that like button, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.